Okay, we're going to look through Ronda Rousey's recent straight armbar victory over Zingano at UFC 184. The things to really note about this elbow extension, this is very much ad-libbed through the fight. In other words, it's not a pre-planned specific move that she's going for here, and we know that because in the interviews and conferences afterwards, she'd said that she'd never done that technique before and she was just going after it in the middle of the fight. The reason she's capable of doing that kind of thing is because she's very adept at applying the basics in a whole variety of different scenarios. And the basics really that we're going to be looking at here are, how do I get control of one of the arms, and then how do I get my hips onto the back of the arm. So she's following, you know, those fundamental principles in obviously a highly stressed and tense situation, and her years of experience are allowing her to do that. Now the first part that goes on with the scramble, with them looking like they're kind of half somersaulting through this, is not something that we're going to talk about here, because that's really just down to years and years of mat time and experience of making sure that you can keep dominant position, and really there's nothing we're going to do here that is going to help you understanding how to do that. It's just go practice, go do loads of work. But the actual finish for the elbow extension work, the armbar, is obviously of interest, and we're going to go through that in some specific details. So what actually happens here to start with is you're in a scramble position, Zingano's face down, and they're coming into a scramble from here where there's nothing that complicated going on to start with. Rousey's coming in and stepping over and hooking in on that far side, so she's starting to establish some kind of back control. And during the first part of this piece from here, she's going after the neck. Now whether that's as a piece of bait and like a fake for the going after the arm or disguising the armbar, who knows, but it starts off with her just on the neck. Now Zingano at this point is reaching up and grabbing on her head from here. And this obviously then becomes a lovely little invitation to someone like Rousey, who just knows, okay, let's start controlling that arm. Now this little hook back from here is very nice because it's a trap rather than, you know, having to really specifically get hold of it and hold it, or you know, wrap it up with your hand grip or anything like that. So you can effectively control this arm just by wrapping and getting this trap going on from here. So as Neil's reaching up for my neck here, and I'm on the neck and threatening the neck, she knows, look, simple move from here, and I'm going to have some control. So piece one of the puzzle is in place. Control the arm. She can just put this hand anywhere around the hip. It doesn't have to be anything specific. And this is enough that Zingano's not going to extract this arm easily. Next thing we need to worry about is, how do I get my hips onto the back of this person's arm where I need to apply the pressure. So again, we don't overcomplicate this. We're not doing something really specific. We're just thinking on the fly, how do I do this quick move? How do I get my hips onto the back of their tricep? This is relatively simple, the same way you go for any armbar on the far side. From here, take the far leg, we'll spin it round in a minute, take the far leg across the head from here. And once she gets this step across, right here, now she can just start laying into this. In this position here, it's nice that she's slightly turned onto this hip on the downside from here, the left hip in my case from here, because she's got some room to manipulate and apply. Quite tough for the opponent to go anywhere with this, but if Neil did forward roll or anything of this kind of nature from here, now I can just follow it through. I can just push with my right leg, whip the person over myself, and still straighten it out into the armbar. So this is the finish right here, hooking back on this arm, extending the hips forwards, and doing that usual kind of armbar action. So the magic in this isn't that it's anything too extraordinary in terms of the armbar itself. It's thinking under pressure, applying the core fundamental pieces in that high pressure situation. So once more from this angle, just getting this far side hook in, threatening on the neck and going for the neck. Zingano leaves this invitation of the grip up onto the back of her neck from here. Simple wrap to control that arm, and then just get my hips onto the back of the person's arm. So step across, lay down on that side, stretch out for the finish. Let's look at it from a slightly different angle now. So just Slightly so now you won't be able to see the finish so clearly, but you'll see the step across much nicer. So again, hooking onto the far side, starting to threaten on the neck. This person reaching up, over wrapping that arm, bury it so that it's trapped nice and deep. Now watch what we do with this far side. It's simple concept, at least not simple to perform. Take this leg, put it onto the far side so that now you're getting hips into the back of the arm. So get all the pieces in place so that we can apply the pressure. Now look, I'm laying onto this side slightly and drilling this through from here. Now she's really stretching her legs out at the end here and applying this, but this is pretty tight and you don't need to do this massive stretch in order to be effectively applying the pressure. Doesn't have to be that way to finish. You can be flat down, face down to finish. You can be turned slightly the other way and you could still finish from there. So don't overcomplicate it in your own head. Just think of the core concepts. Trap and control the arm and then step across and get the hips onto the back of the arm. One more time. Get hooked in from here, threatening on the neck. This person reaches up, overhook from here, pass the leg across, and then down on this side, and then it's the stretch for the finish from here. So stretching this out straight through the elbow for straight armbar kind of position. So that's Ronda Rousey's UFC 184 armbar against Zingano.